Mr. War Report coming live every Tuesday at 7 with Steve, Cat, Ryan, Amanda, and Eric. And the voice of NEW, Vince Perry. Hitting all the topics like a clothesline flurry. Turn up your speakers and hear them out. You can listen from your car, even on your couch. They too raw, who NXT? Handing out SmackDowns, follow on IG. Plus, it's sponsored by Tag Me a Date. Go to YouTube and sub now for every update. It's all wrestling here. No safe space. Now listen in. Time to hear from some of the greats.
I got my Robert De Niro face on for a reason. You.
Really?
No, I knew, because here's the thing. I was going to put it in the chat. And then you played it.
How do we not? I'm so fucking disappointed, bro.
I hate to say it,
Welcome to the
because I
War
hate to-
Report.
welcome to War Report, everybody. We're getting into this short. Welcome to War Report, brought to you by Tag Me Date. We got Steve here. I'm Vince. Thank you for joining us in the live chat. If Tara's here, hello, Tara. I'm sure you'll check in a second when you log in. If you're not already here, thank you for joining us, everybody. Yeah, I hate to make this comparison, Steve, but this feels like every time I hear that Artie Lang relapsed.
Yeah, no, that's such a great comparison, unfortunately.
Because it's like Jeff and Artie Lang are both two very likable guys, very, very talented. Artie Lang, stand-up comedian, used to be on the Howard Stern show. Went through some issues with drugs and alcohol. No longer on that show. No longer a big name touring comedian as he once was. He can still sell tickets when he's sober and running shows, but it's very far and few between right now. Same thing with Jeff Hardy. So Artie Lang, very popular, very funny guy. Jeff Hardy, very charismatic, very entertaining, a super athlete. Just like there was a whole generation of women my age and probably even younger than that still who crushed on Jeff Hardy and loved Jeff Hardy. And it's just like every time we think he's out of the woods, man. And it's
Bro, I
been years
watched-
and years and years.
TMZ put out a video of the actual arrest. It's like a 6-minute video. And it just,
Three cops with their guns drawn. Holy
yeah,
shit.
because apparently he was driving like that much of an asshole. And man, it just sucks. Like he's looking at
does.
some serious jail time. He's looking at 5 years.
Yeah, potentially 5 years, which, listen, if they
And-
gave it to him, I wouldn't blame him.
And he was a fucking mess. Like way over the limit.
But yeah, like 0.28, 0.29 when the it's 0.08 it was the limit, I believe, in Florida. So here's something weird. I don't want to say I have extra insight into this because I don't. It's not like I've tapped into anybody big, but I'm Facebook friends with a fair few people. One of the guys that I'm Facebook friends, you put that up. Tara's right. It's hard to know what to think because you want to be mad, and you are mad. Obviously, we're all mad. We want to be have this guy held accountable. But at the same time, this is a guy you've seen publicly struggle with substance abuse issues. So, in a sense, you're rooting for him because you want him. You never want to see, oh, somebody's addicted to drugs. I hope they fucking die. Like that's never the result. Even somebody like Sonny, I would never wish that on Sonny. I want Sonny to get better. I used to work with Sonny. She was a fucking sweetheart, and now, it just breaks my heart. So same thing with Jeff. You never it's hard to. It's like you're disappointed in your child or a family member or something, man. It's just like collectively the wrestling fans around the world. This is hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people, whatever it is, around the world are affected by this. It's like the Chris Benoit thing. It makes wrestling look lesser and carny. And like, oh, those guys are all pillheads and this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, we don't need to go through this again.
Well, listen, as far as we know right now, this was just alcohol.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
No
But
drugs or anything like that.
Right. So here's the deal. I'm Facebook friends with a guy that promotes autograph signings and things like that. And he posted on Facebook yesterday, because this all happened overnight, Sunday into Monday. And then Monday morning was when he was caught. But I want to give you the timeline. On Sunday, Matt and Jeff were at this autograph signing that this guy ran. And he posted something on Monday very confused. because he said at 9:30 that night. Exactly, Terry. You want to be sympathetic. It's like, what's going to take from, and unfortunately, maybe this is it. Maybe the threat of months to years in jail, or the actual jail time of a few, 6 months or a year, or the maximum of 5 years. Maybe that sets him straight. Maybe he finds that being locked away from all this stuff for that long gets you away from it and gives you enough perspective to stop. I don't know what the solution is. Unfortunately, we don't know because we're not him. We're not in his head. Everybody's kind of mental health thing and addiction things are all different, so we don't really know. But Sunday night, 9:30 to 10:30, whatever it was, into the evening, Matt and Jeff did this autograph signing, then a Q&A, and then Jeff, they did like karaoke, and Jeff sang some of his songs and all this stuff. I'm sorry, I'm going out of focus. I don't know why, but the guy who promoted this event said, "I'm shocked because at like 10 o'clock last night on Sunday night." It's fine, Terry. You don't have to worry about interrupting me. I talk too much anyway. Sunday night, he's like, Jeff is fine. Jeff was fine. He wasn't drunk. I'm reading online, people who were at that autograph signing said the same thing. He looked fine. He seemed fine. He didn't smell like booze, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is, the arrest, there was kind of confusion about when the booking and all this was because AM, PM kind of messes people up.
It was in the morning.
It was in the morning. So what people saw was he was arrested at 9:30 and then booked at 12:30. But when they saw it booked at 12:30, they thought that it meant booked 12:30 at night. It was really that he was arrested 9:30 in the morning, 12 hours after this autograph signing, and then booked 3 hours later.
Correct.
At 12:30. So there was confusion there initially when the police report came out. Again, people can't read AM and PM. It happens all the fucking time. But that tells me that. And the other stories that I've learned from Sean Ross Sapp, he has a Patreon, he has Fightful.com and all that. So basically, the Matt and Rebby, Matt Hardy and Rebby left on their flights and got the fuck out of Florida that night, right after the autograph signing. Jeff stayed and supposedly had a rental car, which, again, your license is suspended, but I don't think they stand in front of you and cut it up with a piece of scissors, like a pair of scissors. Like they don't cut it up into into shreds. Like he still had it. So he was just going to rental car places and saying, "Oh yeah, I've got a license." And they were giving him rental cars. So rather than fly home, I don't know if he thought he was going to drive home or drive to the next, because AEW, I don't know where they're running, Road Rager. Maybe he thought he would drive there. But again, just not a very wise series of decisions from Jeff to end this autograph signing at like 10 o'clock on a Sunday night. This is Sunday, folks. Like, time to pack it up. It's the end of the weekend. I know you're you're on a wrestler rock and roll star schedule, but like Sunday, that's it, dude. Like Sunday night, you pack that shit up and you get ready for Monday. He decided after that autograph signing, apparently, to just drink through the night and then drive home in the morning. And long story short, if he ends this autograph signing at 10 or 11 o'clock at night and gets arrested at 9 o'clock in the morning, it's less than 12 hours that he had to get to 0.29% blood alcohol. That's also just it's a lot of drinks in a short amount of time. And it's just it's scary to think that, even if you had a couple drinks beforehand and he's able to because alcoholics can kind of keep it together and pretend that they're not drunk. And I'm fine. I just had a couple beers, but really, to think 0.29, think of the drunkest you've ever been and then double it, triple it.
And then drive a car.
That's the egregious thing. What you do in your personal life, you do in your personal life. You want to drink, you want to smoke, you want to do whatever. That's on you. You're an adult. You can make your decisions. But part of the decision-making should be, how am I getting home? This happens with professional athletes and actors and movie stars and rock stars and shit, all this. Anybody with money. It happens. Kiefer Sutherland, this happened to all the time. Rip Torn, who lived in Connecticut, old time. He was in Dodgeball, the old guy in Dodgeball. Basically, a lot of these people it happens to, they get a slap on the wrist. They do this drunk driving thing, and it doesn't sit in, doesn't sink in their brains because they don't get the punishment that they should for drunk driving. And also, you're a fucking millionaire. Uber exists. Lyft exists. You could tell a fan, I will Venmo you $50. Can you drive me to the hotel or wherever? And do you know how excited somebody would be to drive Jeff Hardy around and get paid almost nothing, like I'm sure he could. Like there's a Jeff Hardy fan out there where if you offered them a free autograph, they would have drove that motherfucker anywhere for
Oh
hours.
yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of in between the drinking and the arrest. Again, you're not in the right mental state, but you would think somewhere along those 8 to 10 hours that you were drinking, you got to think, as you're drinking, am I driving home? Well, I had a couple. Maybe I can. And then you're like, nah. And then you're at that point where literally 0.29 for somebody who's never been that drunk. And I don't know if I would. It would be hard pressed to say I've ever been that drunk. But basically, the symptoms that you look up on like websites for drunk driving. An inebriation. 0.29 is the point of like if you're walking and you're putting one, like your left foot goes over the right side and then your right foot goes to the left side, it would be like taking big turns. Like if you're driving a car, you're not driving straight, you're doing big kind of, because you don't have the brain function. Your brain is being altered, but alcohol is a poison. You're poisoning yourself. And you don't have the same motor skills. You don't have the same decision-making skills. He was anybody who didn't have experience drinking like that would have long passed out or blacked out or thrown up or any number of other options. 0.29 to be conscious and then be driving is scary. It's very scary.
Apparently, there were 4 911 calls placed, which is why the cops started,
Yeah, four
chasing
911 calls are do it, man. I think we've all been there on the road. One time late at night, my family were coming home from Vermont or New Hampshire or something, and there was a person driving their pickup truck the wrong way on the highway. And
no shit.
And they were, coming down what they thought was the right lane, but was actually the left lane, the fast travel lane. And we went all the way over to the right to avoid them. They went by us. This wasn't ancient history. We were able to use a cell phone and call it. We figured out what town we were in or near, call a cop. And I don't know what the follow-up was because he was going the opposite way very fast, but like,
wow.
So, we've all kind of been there and seen that and been that I've definitely called in a car accident or called in a somebody who shouldn't be doing something they shouldn't be doing on the road. So it takes a lot to get to that point as a driver. Like if you're driving somewhere and you see somebody crazy, you might just go, oh, that guy's an asshole, and like pull around him and speed up and like pat, yeah, it was a scary. Thank you for your empathy and sympathy there, Tara. It was very scary. But it's like, most of the time you just go, oh, that guy's a bad driver. Let's get by him. For 4 people to find it necessary to call the cops about the way he was driving in Florida, of all places, where the worst drivers in the world live, he had to be all over I can't even imagine what the other like. I don't know how. The scary thing is you wonder, this is the 3rd time he's been arrested for it. How many times has he done it? Does he do this every night and they just never caught him? Like, what is? You don't just decide one night to drive a point. You're 0.29 drunk and you drive home. It's just the whole thing is sad. Real quick, I hate that people have brought the WWE versus AEW thing into it, kind of implying or intimating that, or outright saying that it was Tony Khan's fault or AEW's fault. And that, Vince McMahon offered Jeff Hardy rehab right before when Jeff Hardy walked out, and he rejected it. So Vince is good and Jeff is bad, and Vince is good and Tony's bad, and Jeff was always washed up, and Vince McMahon tried to save his life, and he said all this crazy shit that I'm seeing. I wish I could say I'm exaggerating. I'm going online to find this shit out because it's Tuesday, and we need to talk about this on the show. I'm going online and reading comments from insane fucking people who are taking this the wrong way. First of all, the rehab that was offered 6 or 8 months ago by WWE has nothing to do with the current situation of him drinking and driving. From what we've heard, and from WWE's response, WWE believed that he was intoxicated or otherwise when Jeff Hardy walked off during that house show. Jeff Hardy said he wasn't, WWE said, you need to go to rehab before you can come back. Jeff Hardy said, well, just fire me. And they fired him. WWE then had to kind of retract. There was a lot of scuttlebutt out there about WWE insisting that Jeff Hardy was intoxicated. And as soon as Matt Hardy said that Jeff took a blood test that night, all that talk went away. Like WWE guys weren't talking about nothing. So what that tells me, because it would still persist if he was drunk or high that night when he walked off. Him getting that blood test that night, I genuinely think he was fine that night, and he was just sick of it. And you know, maybe these big bumps that he's taken in these ladder matches took a toll, and maybe, you know, he doesn't want to take painkillers, so he drinks, and maybe, you know, I don't want to assume anything on his behalf, but, you know, we talked about it at the pay-per-view. We talked about it on Dynamite. Jeff Hardy looks slow. Jeff Hardy's slowing down. He shouldn't be doing these big bumps. He should really just be doing maybe nothing, maybe retire, or just take a lighter load. You know, don't do all this crazy shit because you're not 20 anymore. And here we are. He jumps off the highest ladder in the fucking world. How many times in a row? Does all this stuff. And I'm just trying to imagine that guy, what he was going to do on Dynamite on Wednesday. That match has changed. It's Young Bucks against Jurassic Express, still in a ladder match, still for the titles, but the Hardys are no longer in it. AEW has suspended Jeff Hardy without pay until he completes a rehab assignment, an inpatient rehab assignment, and he will only be considered to come back on the road once he's completed that. According to AEW statement from Tony Khan, Jeff Hardy is agreeable to that position and has agreed to enter rehab. So again, this thing about Tony Khan not offering him a rehab and not doing it, like, they're doing the exact same thing for him that any other employer, including WWE, would do. So, like, all I can at this point, you know, we can be disappointed in him. We can be you can be disappointed in him and be rooting for him at the same time. Those are not opposite things. You can support the guy while, you know, support his recovery while acknowledging that he did something incredibly dangerous, stupid, irresponsible, potentially deadly to himself and others by putting himself in a vehicle and driving it while he was intoxicated like that. So we can acknowledge the bad, you know, it's an almost, not an unforgivable thing, because I think, you know, he didn't kill anybody, but I feel like it's something that he has to make the move here. He has to enter the rehab. He has to come back out and come out of it showing he now has a lot more to prove as an older guy who's kind of stumbled a few times. So I'm rooting for him. Again, we can criticize him and all that, and rightly so, but also support this guy's mental health and his addiction recovery, and you know, just try. There's nothing a fan can do aside from that, is be like, listen, you know, you messed up, and maybe, you know, now is your chance to make it good. Now is his chance. It could have been so much worse, dude. He could have killed somebody the other day. He really could have. So it's just, this is the best resolution. Nobody died. He got arrested. He's not injured. He's going to rehab. And hopefully, as a 40-something, almost 50-year-old man with a wife and children, he understands the gravity of this situation and understands, like, he grew up without a mom. Does he want his kids to grow up without a dad? Like, I hate to get that real with it, but, like, somebody's got to with him at that point. You know what I mean? Somebody has to sit him down, and hopefully this rehab assignment, this inpatient treatment will help him out. It's just, it's terrible all the way around.
Yeah, the whole thing sucks. But moving on, before we really dive into it, yeah. I did want to give a shout out to Big Heck, aka Barrio Rikers. It is his birthday today.
Yes, sir. Happy birthday, man. I saw it on Facebook earlier, and I usually make those posts, but I figured this one's, I want to do it live too, because it's better than just posting on somebody's Facebook wall. Happy birthday, Heck. Hope you're dropping in soon. Hope to see you soon. And if you're listening, again, man, happy birthday. We wish you all the best, you and your family, buddy.
Yeah, always, man, always. So, I have a question.
Yeah.
Monday Night Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Main event. We decide we're not going to make Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles for contendership to be in the Money in the Bank main event. No. We're going to do the smarter thing. And we're going to do a fucking pose off as our main event. which is not predictable at all because we haven't seen it a million times over where it always ends exactly the same way. What the fuck? This is how we end our show with a fucking pose down.
The pose down is less creative than the contract signing because at least at the contract signing, I don't know, somebody gets put through a table. You know, some shit like furniture's going to be thrown, something like that. Somebody's going to get stabbed in the hand with a pen. This is the same thing happened. Listen, I'm putting down my Coca-Cola. The same thing happened in this one that happened on Monday night that happened back in what, 1989? The Ultimate Warrior posed down against Rick Rude. The exact same shit. The only thing you can do is spray him in the eyes with baby oil and then hit him with something. There's nothing else to do. I agree. A wrestling match should always be the main event. This is the curse of Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley was involved in now 2 of the worst closing segments in the history of Monday Night Raw. And this comes from a big fan of Bobby Lashley. The fucking wedding, which was an atrocity. They play that at Guantanamo Bay to torture the inmates. That whole Monday Night Raw was in Hartford, and I chose not to go. There was a little bug in my brain that said, you don't do it. And I didn't do it, and I watched it from home, and I'm like, I saved myself like $50 between parking and the ticket and everything else, because it was a nightmare. That's the funny one. It was just a nightmare segment, and they had too many people out there. They had some girl come out who was an indie wrestler who nobody ever seen before, claiming to be his wife, and then like the Liv Morgan came out, or was it Mandy? I don't even know. They're all interchangeable now. Was it Tiffany Stratton? Was it like, I don't know. It was one of the blonde girls said she was a lesbian and was in love with Lana, and then like, I don't fucking know.
It was Liv.
It was Liv. Okay. And now, again, we've got a pose down. And the pose down, it's just, this is something that Vince McMahon, as like a guy who likes bodybuilding, who owned the World Bodybuilding Federation and signed Gary Stridham and all these other guys and Lex Luger to be bodybuilders, like, this segment was written for one dude who loves bodybuilding and loves pose downs. It was even the same pose as the most muscular pose. It's all very basic, like
Vince. I don't necessarily have a problem with the fucking pose down. I have a problem. Right. I have a problem with it being the main event when you had Seth Rollins versus AJ on the card. Like, that's a main event match.
Because
you know what I mean?
I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. It's not a wrestling show. It's a sports entertainment show. They don't care about the wrestling being the main event because the entertainment was the main event. And I bet you, as bad as everybody online thought that segment was for a main event segment, there's one dude in Stamford, Connecticut right now who fucking loved it. I read a report online that said Austin Theory, and this sounds very much like what John Cena did. Austin Theory has talked with Vince McMahon about being the face of the company, like John Cena was. The face of the company?
Oh, I've been hearing this rumor for a while that Vince sees Theory as the next John Cena. Which is why when John Cena comes back for his 20th, they're going to have a face-off.
Yeah, I'm sure for the U.S. title. Yeah, Tara was really looking forward to watching Raw because she had a horror. I hope you have a better day today, Tara. I'm sorry you had a bad day yesterday. I know that bodybuilding segment between those two guys didn't make it any better for certain. But the only thing, listen, online, everybody was saying the same thing. The only thing that would have saved this segment was Leo Rush calling out every move Bobby Lashley was going to do.
Oh, that would have been great.
But it's just, I don't know. Maybe Austin Theory is too young for me to make a call on him like that right now, but I just don't see it. I feel like he's not that big. He's not that tall. Like, he's in good shape. He can wrestle. I don't know if he can talk. I don't like the selfie thing. I think the selfie thing is such a lower card gimmick that Tyler Breeze did it for fucking ever. There's a guy called Vern Vicallo who's been Vern. I don't even know if he does it anymore. Vern Vicallo for years was the hashtag selfie made man instead of self-made man. He was the selfie made man, and he'd bring his phone with him And this was all on the indies in the Northeast. So these motherfuckers saw it and knew it was happening. And now they've just got the guy doing Vern's gimmick on TV. It just, I don't like it. It's just, and again, I'm an old man. I'm not old. I'm 35. But the whole, oh, let me take a selfie. Can I Snapchat my Instagram? Like, that does nothing for me in the context of a wrestling show. Like,
Yeah, I
that's
agree.
some shit I see a chick do at a bar. It's not something I see a masculine man who's a world champion wrestler. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to, like, it's of no interest to me that this guy likes to take selfies. It has nothing to do with fucking professional wrestling.
I see him as a main event guy. I do. I just don't see him as, I don't see him as the guy.
Yeah.
So, but listen, I said that about a very young John Cena too, probably, that I was like, I don't know, is he going to be that guy? And he wound up being that guy.
The problem is they're going to do this stare down, and John Cena's going to be like a foot taller than this guy.
Yeah, that's true.
That's really the only thing. Apparently, and this is another reason Vince McMahon likes him. Austin Theory, or just Theory, I guess now, used to be a professional bodybuilder in whatever it has. It's much like other sports. There are weight classes to it. You don't have to be a 400-pound, gassed up, jacked up, whatever dude to be a bodybuilder. There are smaller sizes and smaller height and weight requirements. So he was in a smaller division, but apparently was like a championship bodybuilder.
Yeah, that's true.
I know. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just mean old in the sense that, like, they're not. We have to know at this point they're not writing the show for us. They're writing the show for people a decade plus younger than us, and maybe even 2 decades. They're looking for that 8 to 10, 10 to 15 demographic, and then they're looking for like that 24 to 30 something year old person that has disposable income or whatever. But really, it's not for, like, I get it. The selfie guy is not, that's not a gimmick written for me. Any of that stuff. So I understand. We're just in a different kind of world. But the thing that I felt like was resonating with me that now isn't is Judgment Day.
Yeah.
There's we talked about it last week. If Edge was still with the group and you added Balor, that's fine. Now it's like, it just feels so silly now. It's like, how are you any kind of powerful faction if you just, it's like the Taliban. Every time they remove a leader, they just put a new one in. And it's like, is this guy really the leader of the group now? Like, they're not just going to throw him out in 3 weeks? Like, what the fuck? Yeah. How are you feeling about this whole Judgment Day thing now that it seems they're moving towards Rhea Ripley, part of Judgment Day, facing Bianca for the Raw Women's Championship. I don't know what these other two guys, Balor and Priest, are going to do in the meantime. But that was the kind of the newest experience that we got with this version of the group of the Judgment Day with Balor, Ripley, and Priest all there, was this Titantron promo. So what are you thinking about what's transpired with this whole thing?
I think I think it sucks, to be honest with you. I really do. Like, again, I don't have a problem with Balor being the one that goes over to the dark side, so to speak, but it should be along with Edge. Listen, we said it last week too. The obvious reason they decided to turn Edge back to being a babyface is because they need a strong babyface now that Cody's going to be out for however long he's going to be out. The problem is you just had him telling the fans how much we suck like 6 hours.
You
earlier.
think you know me? You never did. All this other shit. Right. Yeah.
And then their music's still the same.
Yeah, they're gonna still have that. Wait, do they still have the Edge thing at the beginning, or no? It's just the same
yeah.
music.
I heard Edge say that you think you know me, but you never did, and then it goes into like.
Well, here's the other thing that I heard was that WWE creative wanted to take the Judgment Day in a more supernatural. This was the word I saw used several times. Supernatural direction, and that Edge wasn't on board. Edge has been part of the Brood. They used to dump blood on people. He was part of all this goofy shit. So that leads me to believe whatever they had planned and may still have planned was real bad. And Edge wanted no part of it. So that he was like, get me the fuck out of here. What could they? It just, why do we need, if it's going to chase off Edge, who's like the older star, the veteran who's put this group together to put over the young guys,
which was working.
That was the whole point, was that you had a guy like Damian Priest who just needed that extra little oomph to get him there. And like Rhea Ripley, who really hasn't been doing anything since she lost at that WrestleMania against Charlotte. She hasn't really done anything. That was like 2 years ago. So they were finally doing something. And now and Finn's fine. This is nothing against Finn Balor.
Right.
But legacy-wise and career-wise and making sense of it all.
Well, now here, let me ask you this. What about Rhea? Does Bianca drop the belt already?
No.
Because that match is happening, right? I don't see Bianca losing.
I know. So what does that do for your group that she's going to lose?
Well, right.
Unless they want Rhea to win the title from Bianca so that
Somebody
Becky
cashes in.
Right, so that somebody can cash in, and like somebody like Becky could win the title without beating Bianca, or Becky or Asuka or somebody, whatever, can win the title without pinning Bianca, and then Bianca can feud with whoever that person is as like a, you never beat me for this belt. I'm number one contender or whatever.
Right.
Maybe. Because that's the thing. We keep trying to think about this, in a long-term sense, when there is this unpredictable Money in the Bank pay-per-view coming up where, historically speaking, that night, the night after, or within the next few weeks, you've got to cash in. And then if there's not an instant cash in, which then hot shots a story, there's the long-term threat of a cash in and teases of the cash in. So,
you know who I'm starting to lean on the guy's side, who I think is going to actually win?
No, who's that?
I think Omos might actually win this shit.
Well, that was a great show tonight, everybody. I hope you had a good time. I'm going to go.
I mean, listen, MVP did say it. He only has to climb a couple steps and he can fucking reach the thing.
That's true.
I think he might actually be the dark card in the match. And
that's why the Big Show has won every Royal Rumble, because the biggest guy has to win the Royal Rumble. How are you going to get him out of the ring? It's not like 6 guys could pick him up.
Listen, in a Money in the Bank, it is very easy to get rid of a giant. All you have to do is get everybody to push him off the ladder through a table or something, and he's out for
the yard sale. And they put all the stuff on top of it.
Exactly. So, I mean, that can be done too, but I don't know. A part of me is starting to think they might go with Omos.
I want Montez Ford to climb almost like a ladder and grab the briefcase.
That would be great.
Because he teased it on wasn't he in the last one? He kind of teased how high up he could jump. Like he was either from the top rope or just like a kind of a standing leap. He did
a frog splash the other night that he almost fucking hit the briefcase.
Yeah, so he can do it. So that's what I'm saying. Like I think
insane.
And no knock on Angelo Dawkins, because I like Angelo, and it was a long time coming for him to find a gimmick and get out of NXT, and I'm glad that him and this, he found Montez and they formed the Street Profits, and they're a great team, and I've seen them live and the crowd loves them live. Montez Ford, talk about face of the company, fucking superstar. I'm sorry, Austin Theory. Montez Ford is that dude, or as people online have been saying, Braun Breaker. I don't think Braun is going to be in this ladder match because I don't think it's his time yet to be called up.
I agree.
Montez, I think
he
ticks all the boxes, man.
He does, but I think you got to keep him. Oh shit! I think you got to keep him. I think you have to keep him with the Street Profits.
I think so too. But look at this! It's the birthday boy.
Sort of.
Is he here, Hector?
Yo,
there he is.
Happy birthday!
Yo, what's good, fellas? We're trying
What's
to
up,
get
man?
you guys in the whip. Having some technical difficulties right now.
We can hear you a little bit.
Yeah, we can hear you.
How's your birthday, brother? Yeah, we're losing him.
Yeah, he's driving. He must be driving through one of them tunnels.
He's gone. It
Oh,
was
that
nice
was
of him
fun.
to try. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, I know what you're saying. Like maybe it's not time for him. Maybe I'm confused here. Can you help me out? I saw 2 briefcases.
Men's and women's.
Okay. Solves all my confusion. So we're still unifying the because in my head I'm like, this could be cool. 2 different people could have men's world title briefcases, even though technically Roman Reigns is the champion. He would have to defend the title separately against 2 different motherfuckers.
Yeah, no, I think that was just signifying a men's and a women's.
Right, makes much more sense. I'm done.
You know, it's funny. There's a thing going around that one of the reasons why they unified the title with the Reigns is so that they could get Reigns on both shows. And yet, since they've done that, he's taken more time off than ever.
That's
So,
an interesting theory. Yeah.
you know,
Yo,
there he is.
I'm back. What up, fellas?
What's up, brother? Happy birthday.
Yo, thank you, man. It's always a pleasure to be with you guys. Vince, you still looking like a Puerto Rican ninja? I see. I'm loving it,
I get it.
bro.
Oh my
I'm
God.
loving that.
Good to hear from you, man. We're talking about Money in the Bank briefcases. Do you have? I know it's a little ways away. Men or women? Do you have a pick for who you think's coming away with the briefcase?
Oh man, you know what? Men's side, I gotta go. I'm gonna say Ezekiel.
Ooh.
I'm gonna go with Ezekiel.
We're gonna have to talk more about that while Heck is on too, but yeah, go ahead.
I'm liking everything that's going on. The story with Kevin Owens has been fun. I think it's actually been the best part of Raw, other than Seth Rollins.
I agree.
I think Seth Rollins is obviously, a front runner for Money in the Bank, but I would love a dark horse like Ezekiel to kind of come out. I'm very intrigued about next week.
How are they pulling this off? That's what
I don't know. I have no idea. I'm thinking maybe Vince is going to show off his new ripped bod and just pop out.
Brother.
Watch it like
a week of D-ball, Vince. A week of D-ball, you could probably look close to fucking Elias.
You know what it'll be? It'll be via satellite, and it'll be an old
heavily filtered.
Yeah,
heavily filtered. Yeah, heavily filtered. But no, I'm intrigued to see how it goes. But yeah, coming out, I think Ezekiel would be the most fun.
I agree.
Yo, you see? He's already got it. He's already got it. Look at this. This guy's a natural.
Walk with Elias, baby.
Podcast host, wrestling host. What else do you do? Comedian now. I see you're up on stage killing it as a comedian.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I mean, dude, you're a jack of all trades.
Voice of the Northeast, baby.
I think the next obvious thing for you to jump into is OnlyFans. I subscribe.
You would be my only fan, brother.
Brother. So women's side, I think it's going to be Lacey Evans. Ooh. I think they built her up to, kind of become, catapult her. Now you have no Sasha Banks, right? You still don't have Bayley. Bayley, I'm hoping would be that dark horse, right? That nobody knows about. She just pops up for the match.
If Bayley came back,
at Money in the Bank, yeah,
with the balloon things.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, as a baby face. Oh my God, she's good.
Bring her back as a heel.
Either way, she'd be over. Yeah. She'd be over either way. Baby face or heel. Baby face or heel.
Unbelievably
over. But yeah, super over. But no Bayley involved. I think Lacey Evans comes out of that because I don't see anybody else really having, the what's fallopian tube fortitude, right?
The Fallopian
to,
fortitude.
to knock it out the park. So yeah, I think Lacey Evans, and I'm gonna go dark horse Ezekiel, if that makes sense.
So right
I'm
before
coming
you
out
came on,
swinging, bro. I haven't been here in like 18 months or some shit.
Right?
I gotta come out swinging with you guys.
well, so check this out. I actually went with a dark horse, and I said I actually think right now I'm leaning more towards Omos.
You know what, man? Wrestling is about stories, right? And for me, he cannot tell a story with his body. I watch his match, right, with Bobby Lashley. You know, those extra big guys who are scary, right, but don't really do too much for you in the ring. They're an attraction. I mean, Andre the Giant will never be topped. Braun Strowman is somebody who I enjoyed watching because he had charisma, right? He was a beast. He showed his athleticism, and you knew his background. Strongman and all that stuff, right? So you had something to build on. They haven't really given him a story. It's just he's 7'5". That's it. And for me, as a story person, right, I enjoy the story aspect of wrestling. He doesn't do it for me.
Yeah, I agree. I listen. Just because he's my pick doesn't necessarily mean I'm behind the guy. I actually,
I get
you know, I'm not.
But
the
can
biggest
you
fan, to be honest
see?
with you.
So to that point, right? Can you see him actually cashing in on Roman Reigns at any point during his lifetime, or in the 1 year of the lifetime of the contract, I should say, right? Like, I mean, do you see that? Is that something you would waste your time on as Vince McMahon or Triple H or whoever's running the show right now?
I would hope not. I mean, like,
I would hope not. I mean,
the
I would
only
hope not.
time-
So,
The only time they tried to make him have a personality was when didn't AJ Styles say that he almost took karate classes or something, and he did like a spinning back kick for a couple weeks, and then they realized,
I mean,
like, why do we have the 7-foot tall guy doing spinning back kicks? It's dumb.
exactly. So, you know,
They
for
should have had
him,
him in a karate, like a kid's karate class,
Oh,
and he's
in a
all
gi?
tall with a gi and the little white belt
Oh.
with a bunch of little kids around him, and they're all
that
throwing
would-
punches.
that would be
Like
tremendous.
four kids run at him and they try and fight him, and he just bats him away.
It's like the age old question, like how many kindergartners could you fuck up before you die? Like great
Steve, would you wanna
play
fight-
on him.
Would you want to fight one horse-sized Omos or 100 duck-sized Omoses?
Yeah, I just it's you're losing either way.
So
No,
are the fans.
I mean, we've seen crazier shit happen, right? So I don't put any stock in that not happening. There's always a chance that Omos could be that guy, but you know, Madcap Moss, I like his new persona, right? I think he's got the personality. He's definitely got the look, right? He's got the physique. He can work. He can go. He's a very talented performer in the ring. At the end of the day, I mean, you know, it all depends on who WWE is trying to market to at that point, right? So are you trying to get the 13 to 21-year-old female demographic? Then absolutely you push Madcap Moss to the stars, right? Or are you looking to get back that hardcore fan and you push AJ Styles to the top or Seth Rollins to the top? You know,
Right.
It's all about who you're trying to fucking, you know, placate to during that period of time. So it's always a crapshoot.
Now technically too, what do you do with AJ Styles, because he just lost the qualifier?
Well, he just lost. Yeah, I mean, do you throw him in the IC discussion? Do you throw him back in the, you know, U.S. belt discussion, or does he now have a free spot for John Cena? You know, if he comes back on Raw, right, in a couple weeks or whatever it is.
Well, I
You know,
think
is that-
John
is
Cena.
that-
I think
do you
John
feed
Cena
him?
returns and goes to Austin Theory. I think that's what's going to match up there.
Yeah. So, you know, But
I
Austin
think
Theory's got to
AJ
do something because that Bobby Lashley segment that ended Raw last night, I'm not too sure what I was watching. I felt like I should have been on OnlyFans, not Raw.
Dude,
You know?
I said to Vince before, I said, dude, I said, when the fuck did we think it was a great idea when you have Seth Rollins, AJ Styles fighting for their shot and Money in the Bank, and
Yeah.
you decide instead of that being your main event, we're gonna
Yeah.
do a fucking pose off that is
Yeah.
beyond predictable, and you know how it's gonna fucking end.
Yeah.
Like, what do you
Let's
do?
close this show. Let's close this relatively okay show, I would say. Actually, I was, okay with a few of the matches. I was okay with what they did in the beginning. But let's close the show with, baby oil pose downs. Not too proud of that.
Hey, it's Pride Month. You should be proud of
It is. Hey, you know what, man? Pride.
for a reason.
Happy Pride to anybody and everybody. Just keep it out of the last segment of Raw, please.
And it was interracial, so we're just very diverse right now.
It was.
It was two adult interracial men spraying baby oil on each other. There's
And,
nothing. It's absolutely natural.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? This morning I went and bought a new jar of baby oil so I could pose in the mirror at the gym. So it worked. It worked. Thank you, WWE. Take my money.
Kick you out of the gym. You just cover yourself in baby oil. They can't catch you.
Yeah, they cannot. I'm slippery. Slippery when wet, motherfuckers.
Hey, listen, while we got you, we covered this already too. What are your thoughts, Jeff Hardy?
Oh gosh, it's like
it's sad.
Okay, so all right, so everybody understands the backstory. It's happened God knows how many times. What I will say that I love is Tony Khan's press statement, right? His
Yes.
release after. I mean, I thought that was nothing but class. 100% showed that he's into the well-being of Jeff. I think WWE, has had so many run-ins with DUI and all those kinds of things, and they're the powerhouse of the industry, right? But when you take it down to a granular level like that, and you say this guy is someone we believe in and someone we want, so we're going to put all of our efforts behind him so he gets better. I like that. I think that's huge. I think that was really, really nice. I think that was, it shows what kind of organization AEW is and who's at the top. So yeah, I thought that was really good. I mean, the Jeff Hardy thing is so sad. It's always sad. I mean, you see, of course, like I shared with you, Steve, the picture of the DUI, Money in the Bank. I mean, winner takes driver's license. I mean, like really, like if wrestling gets to that and you're making a joke out of it with real lives, like these are real life shit. That's when it gets kind of tough to swallow. Yeah, it's funny at first, but shit like that, you kind of look back and you're like, God damn, like that's really fucked up. You got really good guys, sinking down to levels that they shouldn't be. And it's sad, at the end of the day, you have people that have families, they're trying to pay bills just like us, and they have addiction. And so it takes them into a dark place. But
you know what? It's so sad too. I mean, if you just look at, he's back with his brother, back in a great company with flexibility, in both what they are going to be doing. They probably have a lot of say with Tony Khan. They're having a solid run. Like it's not even like they brought them into AEW to put others over. Like they beat the Young Bucks. Like they were pushing them to the stars.
I thought they had a really good match.
Right.
And
probably giving them one more run with the titles. And all of that now, like you're looking at almost you put the potential of 5 years in prison on the table now. And it's just like that, you threw it all away. And, it sucks, man. It really sucks.
Yeah. It's a tough pill to swallow, man. I think a lot of people, no pun intended, and I'm sure he was doing pills too. But at the end of the day, you hate to see that, especially from a legend, somebody who each and every one of us who's on this show right now has physically met in person, shook his hand, talked to him. And so at the end of the day, man, it's sad to see. You look up to them, and when shit like this happens, it's like, damn, uh, you know, we just hope the best, right? I think that's all you can do. But that was pretty heavy. Let's lighten the mood.
Okay.
So how do we get to Roman Reigns dropping this belt or one of the belts? How do we get there?
Are we doing
And
it on
when does it
Friday?
happen? Does it happen at SummerSlam?
Well, here's the thing. On Friday, they're having the SmackDown match where if Riddle loses, he can't challenge for the title as long as Roman Reigns holds the title. And they're usually pretty firm about that stuff. So that either tells me they're building it up for a change or they're building it up to so if in my head it's either they're building it up so much that they want to they're talking up like Riddle's going to lose and he's never going to challenge again, but he's going to make the big upset, which I don't know. I think you're right. You should do it on a pay-per-view. Why you're going to do it on SmackDown? But the other thing is if he loses and he can't challenge anymore, then that means they're saving something, maybe SummerSlam, for Randy Orton to come back and kind of get revenge on behalf of his tag team partner.
Yeah, and I mean, are there any confirmed reports on what's going on with Randy? Because I sit there and I'm like, is his back broken? Is he having surgery? Is he coming back, or is he time away from TV kind of thing that they say?
Yeah, from what I've heard, and this isn't confirmed or anything, but what I've heard is that his back was just sore, and he was just taking some time off. That it was nothing like surgery related,
sense.
but listen, that could always change too. So who knows?
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
So, my last point before I have to go, and I know you guys got to go. So, when the fuck does Bray Wyatt make his return, and where?
That's a great
He says
call.
did you see Twitter last week? He says he's ready.
I know. And so that's why I thought, we all jizzed our pants collectively when we heard Cody Rhodes was hurt, legit. And it was like, whoa, stand in, let's go, bring him back. But, that didn't happen. So, does he go to somewhere like, Control Your Narrative? Does he go to, an indie show? I mean, I don't know, man. There's millions on the table.
I just don't think the Fiend, as it is,
works anywhere else.
It doesn't work without the production behind it.
100%.
Excuse me. He's not. Imagine he comes out at some high school. He walks out of the locker room door and swings it open, and there's like some jabroni with a fog machine, and it just doesn't. It doesn't jive. You need the whole thing to look good. So, and Control Your Narrative.
Man, it's suspected.
They Control Your Narrative ran a show this weekend and nobody's posted about it. I have no clue who wrestled. I don't know who won or lost. There's been no recaps. There's been nothing posted online about it. It's almost like the show happened and nobody went and it's completely fallen under the radar.
EC3's got guys paying $100 to like set up chairs for them. Like he's not paying them; they're paying him $100 to set up chairs. So I don't know.
That's fucking funny.
I should really pull. We don't have time now. I should pull it up. A couple months ago, before WrestleMania weekend, I sent an email to the Control Your Narrative because before I knew what any of this stuff was, and they were just announcing they were going to start shows. I was like, hey, I sent them my demo reel, sent a short little email. If you need to book me for ring announcer or whatever, do you have any? I really just wanted a free trip to WrestleMania weekend if I could get booked on a show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was kind of my intent. And I got back a response from EC3 himself. And I know it was from EC3 because it was, how he writes on Twitter and it's all these really long run-on sentences with a bunch of like $5 words, like really long words. It was that. And I had to I had to translate it for myself. And it was basically like, well, if you're in town for WrestleMania weekend, come in and talk. And, if we need you, we'll use you. And I was like, that's not what I was looking for, but thanks. You know what I mean? Like I was like,
Yeah.
it's one of those things. Like, dude, either you have a ring announcer and you're like, no, I'm good, or no, I don't have a ring announcer. Hey, I liked your stuff when I watched your video. Yes, you
Yeah.
know what I mean. It was just a very weird kind of like cryptic,
Yeah.
like.
Seems like a
you want
very
to enter the
cocky,
Brotherhood? Yeah, he's like the
yeah, very
synchronicity of your
cocky,
fucking whatever. I'm like, yeah,
yeah, a very cocky promotion, if you will. But yeah, no, I'm excited. I mean,
yeah. We're coming up on a fun time because right after WrestleMania and the run
on
to
the
WrestleMania with
table.
the Rumble. Yeah. Oh, did Steve? Oh, Steve is not connected. But basically, we got a lot of interesting stuff coming up with Money in the Bank leading into SummerSlam. Even with AEW, we've got a new champion to be crowned, and then Punk's going to challenge them when he comes back and he's healthy, if he's healthy. So I mean, we're this whole summer with the injury to Cody, because everybody kind of
There's a
thought he
lot
was
of
going to
stuff
win
coming
Mania.
up. I'm hoping that things turn, but
It's unpredictable.
you
I
know,
think it's
it's
all
been great,
completely
man. Hey, listen, I have to run, man. I love you guys. Love the show. I love being part of the family.
Hey
Truly
man,
appreciate you guys having me on,
anything,
man.
Say. You are
Happy
It's
birthday,
anytime.
always
brother.
it's
Yes,
always a
happy
pleasure. And
birthday.
yes, the kid turned 37 today, man. I feel young as ever, though.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Well,
I
we're glad you
appreciate you
hopped
guys,
on.
man.
We
Talk to you later,
appreciate
brother.
you,
All
the
right, guys. Have a
OG.
good one, Vince. Stay
Yeah, you
beautiful, my
too.
friend.
Thank you, brother. You too. Uh, he's again an OG. If you're not familiar with Big Heck, go back and I don't even know if you. Who wears? There's got to be archives of Big Heck on the show. It was wild when it was us guys with him. So
You can
always
probably
good to
find
see
it on
him.
YouTube.
Probably go through the YouTube, either mine or yours. Always great to have him. I think, anytime he can drop in, Hector, if you're still listening or you listen to this part, just drop in. It's Tuesdays. You know when. We'll give you the link. You can come by. Um, you know, join us anytime, buddy. Happy birthday. Shit, we're at the top of the hour, dude.
Yeah, that flew by.
Whew, it really did. Just a few things. I'm not just for anybody that needs help or knows anybody that needs help with addiction. The number that AEW posted in their statement was the SAMHSA's national helpline of 1-800-622-HELP. That's 1-800-622-4357. There's no shame in admitting that you need help. There's no shame in admitting that you have a problem, especially if you're going to endanger yourself or others by getting behind the wheel of a motor vehicle while intoxicated. So, again, 1-800-662-HELP or 4357 is the way to go for that. One other thing, just real quick. This weekend, Saturday, June 18th, in Torrington, Connecticut, I will be ring announcing for a show called Tough and Talented Wrestling, also known as 2TW. They're a fairly new company here in Connecticut. They started last year. I worked their inaugural show. I was very happy to do so. I've known the guys that run 2TW for years. Currently, it's a fundraiser for the promoter's father, who is undergoing cancer treatments. He was just recently diagnosed. So, Torrington, Connecticut, Saturday, June 18th. It's at the Italian American Club. I don't know the address, but if you Google Torrington, Connecticut, Italian American Club, it's going to come up. It's the only one. Show, I believe, starts at 6, so doors would open at 5. You can go to Tough and Talented Wrestling on Facebook or Instagram to look at it. And again, you can also just, if you want to look at the location, it's the Italian American Club in Torrington, Connecticut. June 18th, 6 p.m., Tough and Talented Wrestling. I'm going to be there. I mean, it's going to be a fun show. I know Bull Dread's going to be there. The Underground King, Slick Wagner Brown, is going to be there. The Stepdads, who are a great tag team, they're going to be there. The American Kid, local wrestler from Bristol, Grappling Greg. I think Logan X is going to wrestle. I mean, there's just a Little Greatness is going to be there. There's a whole bunch of people wrestling on the show, and I'm real happy to be a part of it because.
Are you working the show?
Yeah, I'm ring announcing.
Oh, fucking awesome, man!
Yeah, so I'm just happy to be involved, and it's people that I knew years ago as like referees and guys that set up the ring and all this stuff, and like now we're all in different places, and it's like, well, I want to run, somebody wants to run a show, well, I can help. We know guys, this stuff. It's like it all kind of came together pretty cool.
That's awesome.
The guys that are running this 2TW. So like I'm thankful for them. And again, if you're in Connecticut or you're in the surrounding area, Torrington, June 18th. That's this Saturday at 6 p.m. Tough and Talented Wrestling. So look them up online. It looks like Steve has dropped because it's just my big old mug in the video window. So I'll do our plugs to finish up if he comes back on. There he comes. But basically what I'll do is I'll finish up for tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening. Happy birthday again to our buddy Big Heck, Barrio Rikers, coming in with the big 3-7, feeling younger than ever. Very happy for him. Well wishes to Jeff Hardy as he recovers or attempts to recover from addiction. That is such a tough thing to go through. And, I'm sure we'll hear more about it as time goes on, whether there's, whatever the updates are, good, bad, or otherwise, we'll be here to kind of discuss that and everything else involved in pro wrestling. So follow us at Tag Me a Date, at Tag Me a Date. That's all one word. There's no spaces. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter and Periscope. We're on Instagram. We're on TikTok. We're on YouTube. It's at Tag Me a Date. You put or Tag Me a Date. You put it in the search bar. You can find our channel. You hit subscribe and hit the bell to get notified when we go live or when we upload a video. Twitch.tv/War Report. War Report is all one word. WARREPORT. Those are all the live streaming options. As well as Periscope is another streaming option. Again, at Tag Me a Date, 7 p.m. Twitter and Periscope, 7 p.m. on Eastern Time. Excuse me. Or rather, 6 p.m. on Eastern Time. We used to be at 7. Now we're at 6. 6 p.m. on Eastern Time. And if you prefer the audio version rather than the video version, then you can go to your favorite podcast app of choice, such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, SoundCloud. All you have to do is type in The War Report or type in Tag Me a Date, and the podcast will come up. If you type in The War Report, there are 2 wrestling-related podcasts named The War Report. You will know it is us by the icon and the description. The icon will have Tag Me a Date, either the logo or the name Tag Me a Date in there. The description is going to have names you recognize, like Vince and Steve, and you know what I mean? Like, you're going to know it's us. If you're looking at a different one that's called The War Report and you don't see any of our names, it ain't us. Listen to the us. We're the OGs. As much as I appreciate these guys also needed a name for their podcast, they could have done a cursory Google search. We were around for 7 years. They just come up in the last year. I'm not going to talk shit about them. I'm sure they have a fine show. I've never listened. Just recognize that when you're subscribing to the podcast, make sure you are subscribing to the OG War Report, the War Report. You acknowledge that we are the War Report. And that'll do it for us this week. We're very appreciative of everybody that's tuning in. Tara, thank you so much for sticking with us in the chat. Thank you to Hector for dropping in as a guest. If you know anybody that loves pro wrestling as much as us and wants to discuss it and really get deep in it, share the podcast, share the link to the Facebook or to the social media or the YouTube page. Let them know what's going on. The more people that jump in the chat with Tara and everybody else, the better. When you comment, we throw your comment up on the screen. Some people have super chats where you have to pay to get your comment up on the screen. We will just put your comment or question up on the screen. We don't need you to pay us. If you do, that's great. But if you don't, we're still going to put your comment up on the screen and we're going to comment on it. And again, it's just a more the merrier situation, man. We want more people not just to listen. We want you to come on. We're live streaming and we just want to see what the temperature of the chat is. We want to see what everybody's feeling, especially on something like Jeff Hardy. Tara came in with a few points about how she's feeling about it. It's good to get feedback from you guys. So just spread the love, spread the show, spread our links like an STD. Oh, no. Thank you again for tuning in. And Steve, any last words before we get going? All right. No last words.